But there's another reason why we did that at that time, because there were strong pressures, domestic pressures, in the United States and also in the Soviet Union, though lesser there, to take care of a very real problem. And that problem is the problem presented by strontium-90, carbon-14, cesium-137, the fallout from nuclear weapons testing that was getting into the bones of children through mother's milk. And it became a political necessity almost on the leaders on both sides, for both sides were being affected, to do something about that. And the Limited Test Ban Treaty did that.
Boral 374, project 30078. Boral 374.
Because it's been 50 years, and it's been the treaty that is regarded, and I think quite properly, as the most essential agreement we have for maintaining international security in this nuclear age. I draw cartoons, did during the negotiations, and the Russians were aware of that after a while, and a good sort of friendship, you can call it that, I had with the head of the Soviet Arms Control Division in their Foreign Office. 7-year-old son, and there's Papa and the Amerikanskis holding down the missiles. And it's sort of a sentimental thing that I kept. The Cuban Missile Crisis occurred, and that had a profound effect on the leaders on both sides. They wanted a quick, early agreement, and we got the hotline. I happened to be the delegation overseer for the U.S. delegations negotiating the hotline. It was felt as an important symbolic and practical step, and it was a fairly easy negotiation because both sides wanted the agreement, and we did the negotiating in a sort of garden shack, wooden garden shack in back of the Soviet embassy in Geneva, and it took about 2.5 months to negotiate the agreement. That was followed fairly soon after that by the Limited Test Ban Treaty. The Limited Test Ban Treaty bans the testing of nuclear weapons in the atmosphere, but it was not a coincidence that the day in which the Non-Proliferation Treaty was signed, finally, was a day in which the U.S. could announce that we and the Russians had agreed to begin negotiations on strategic weapons. So there's a fundamental connection between the two. The Finns and others sort of looked about. They had a ceremony. They had a sort of a ceremonial first meeting when we started the strategic arms talks, and how elaborate it was. And here, you have to go way down to there till you get to the two heads of the delegations, or way down there. This is the first. This is just one half. Here's the other half, and here are the two delegation heads, here and here. There's Weiler. The morning we opened in Helsinki, this was after we were starting something that we had never had before, a bilateral negotiation between the U.S. and the Russians, an actual negotiation on their strategic weapons. And the director and myself were going to walk from where we had our offices to a little building, I'd say 40 yards away. And as we got out and started to walk, the director and myself, where we would meet the Russians, I thought, I am so lucky to be involved in something like this. And then we saw how many people there were there. The estimate was 500 newsmen were surrounding this small building. And I thought, this is the center of the effort of mankind to save itself, and I happened to be involved in it, and I felt extraordinarily lucky. I drew, as I said, sort of cartoons or drawings. I don't know how to draw, but I took that up as a practice when people were making long speeches. The signing finished. I had done this cartoon when they were preparing for the little ceremony, private ceremony, and so I had done this. Both sides, both delegates wanted signed copies of my cartoon, and here they are signing copies, and they exchanged copies. And he's saying it's nothing serious. It's just that the shock of signing the agreement was too much for them. Well, first, the war, World War II, changed my plans. I was going to be a lawyer and a brilliant political figure. During World War II, I was in an armored artillery outfit. We went all the way across Europe, across Western Europe. And I saw what war did. And I decided I was not going to be a lawyer, but I was going to study international relations. And when I was invited to join the State Department, I found out, because of where I was in the department, that I was in a position to see the capability of nuclear weapons and what was happening and the race that was underway. And I decided that, I guess if I put it to myself this way, my job was to do what I could to prevent the two sides from foreclosing the future. And that's always been what I considered my task, was to help the two sides from foreclosing the future for coming generations.